darker, as well as the side of the face, because that's an angle that's going backwards. When we think about it, the only thing that is facing forward towards us is from, if you look at my face from here, that's all that's facing forward. All of this is facing backwards. All of that's facing backwards. The only thing that's facing forward is the center of the forehead. So all of this is proving all of those different angles that go backwards. And so I'm going to push this area backwards right in here by darkening it. On the lid side, I still will have and I could go even cooler over here. I'm going to take my purple and put it into my green, because it will cool it down some more, because that green was a little bit too warm. Add that purple in there. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to use those as my two shadow colors. Over on my warm side where the light is, I used that green in that area. It's just a little too purple, I mean a little too yellowy. So I'm going to take a little bit of a different green and add it in, and as I go back in space, I'm going to use that one mixed in with my reds, because it's a little warmer than that color. You see the warmth. It's got some blue in it, but that's okay. I like the color. I'm going to add that into the shadows over on this side, and then I'm going to take some skin tone and put it over. When I tell people they have green in their skin, they have a hard time believing that, but the complement of the color of our skin is green, and the blue underneath the surface of your skin is also puts a green tint into things. So that's the reason that we see that color in there. So, oh, there's all my good colors. They're over there. All right, so I'm going to come back in and I'm going to find. So I told you that this is what's facing us right here. So I'm going to go ahead and start building what's facing us. I'm going to lighten this area. Remember I said I want to flatter them. I don't want to make that too dark. I can go ahead and put this little triangle in over here. This is very classical lighting. So I'm going to put that light right in there, and I'm going to put some in the forehead, in the center. Now I can take this and add it to the green and see what happens. It's a little bit darker. It's okay. And, I'll find something better in there in a little bit. For now, it makes it work. So I'm going to come in. Okay, so the next thing is I have to start putting the mouth in there. So how do I figure out where my mouth is going to go? I'm going to go directly below my irises, or the center of the eye. If they're looking off in another direction, it would be the center of the eye. Go directly down, and I'm going to find a point right there. I told you that this quarter is where the nose, this looks a little crooked too, doesn't it? So I told you that the quarter is where the top of the philtrum and the bottom of the nose meet, and an eighth is halfway between that line and that line. That eighth mark is somewhere within the bottom lip. It represents where the bottom lip is, but that somewhere has to do with the expression on their face, whether their teeth are showing, and whether their jaw is dropped, whether their mouth is open a little bit or not. It's somewhere within the bottom lip. It's not the line between the lips. So the next thing I want to do, and I don't know what that little squiggly line there was, but I'm looking for this little curve right there. So I'm looking for the space between the nostril holes. Wherever that is, I'm going to make a mark where the top of the lip is. Now, if they have Angelina Jolie lips, that line may be way up here because that lip is really wide. If they have thin lips or small lips, that line is going to be lower. So it depends on that person and what their lips, what the width of their lips are in order to figure out where to put that line. So I'm going to go ahead and put mine right down here. So this is that V that represents the center of the upper lip. And I didn't make a mark over here. So the higher this point is relative to this, the more you're going to make them smile. If you put it down here, they're going to look really unhappy. You put it up here, then it's going to be happy. If they're smiling, it's still going to be below it might be stretched out to the outer side of the center of the eye, but it's going to be right, it should be higher if you want to make them look happy. Okay?
Higher than that little
not higher
shape?
No, it sometimes it's a straight line. If they're really smiling, it can be a very straight line, but it depends on the person and how much they're stretching their upper lip. So, but usually it would be equal to somewhere in there. But if they have a full lip, it should be higher a little bit. But this line right here might be equal to that or higher than that. So it's the center line between the lips. So the next thing I'm going to do, I got the V, which represents what's below the lip. Now this is just, I can round it just a little bit. And then this is where I'm going to put the bottom lip right here. Okay? So when I get that, and it represents the flatness of the bottom of the center of that bottom lip, all I have to do to make a mouth is connect my dots from there. Okay? Now, one person may have a very pointy bottom lip. Another person may have a very full bottom lip where it rounds really big over there. Depending on that person, you have to look at them. One person may have barely any V. One person might have really high peaks in that area. So it's up to you what you're working with, who you're looking at. The upper lip faces down. It's at an angle. So here's the bottom lip, the rounding of the bottom lip. The upper lip looks like this. So the upper lip will always be darker. You see how my upper hand is darker than my bottom hand? Because it's facing away from the light. So we're going to put a darker value, and I'm not going to outline. You see that I barely put a line in there. I don't want an outline to my lips. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just putting in a darker color for the upper lip. I use that green quite often because it's good to make a darker color. I'm going to add that between my lips into the red. That's probably not quite dark enough. I'm going to go right in there. I'm going to check my angles to make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and darken the red in the corners as I come into the outer edge of that lip. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of light color back into the center of the upper lip, because right up in here, it may be facing up a little bit, so it's catching a little bit of light. So I'm going to go ahead and that's my upper lip. I built my upper lip. Now to do the bottom lip, I'm going to, that's a good color there. Okay, so to do the bottom lip, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cast a shadow at the top of the lip. So I'm going to put a little bit of a line in there. I think I need a darker color between the lips. So I'm going to grab a black just to get it more emphasized. Just a little bit of it in there. Okay. So now underneath that crease between the lips, I'm going to take and I'm going to add a darker color right in that area, because that upper lip's casting a shadow. So then at this edge over here, what's facing forward on the mouth, remember where your eye tooth is? That's where your mouth is going to start changing angles. So that means that this whole edge of the bottom lip is now at another angle, this direction. And that's in the light. So this one's going to be lighter. Both of these are going to be lighter than what's over here when I'm done. So I'm just going to go ahead and darken it right in here. Just a little bit. So now I framed the light area within the bottom lip. I'm going to go ahead and use that color that I had up above in the last. And I'm going to bring it into my lip color over here to blend that color. I can lighten this one up just a little bit. It's still going to remain darker because I put the darker color on first. And then I'm going to come over in here, and I probably want to add green to that color to push this area back. And I'm going to take it along and I'm going to get rid of that black by blending that green into it. Let that be darker. Now I'm going to transition. Transition, you know, means to get your colors to go from from a darker value to a lighter value, or a lighter value to a darker value. This is a little bit of a brighter red. I'm going to do some more transitioning with that brighter red down into that. Now this is a person with lipstick on. If you're doing a man, you're going to go for oranger colors. So if I wanted this to be a man, I'd put more green in my color, because green has a lot of yellow in it. So if I take this green right here and added it to my reds, I have a much more natural looking skin tone than I did with the other colors. So let's go back in and put some highlight in with either a yellow or a white. So I've gone towards a dirtier yellow. So it's a little more on the orange side. I'm going to break up that line. It's a little too perfect. Now my upper lip no longer is as dark as it was, so I'm going to go ahead and darken it up again. This red is not, it's like an alizarin crimson or an Indian red. It's just, it is darker, so it works well. Okay, so I've lost my little V on the upper lip. Some people don't have it, but we're going to give her one. Yeah, what did I do with my razor blade?